Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're going to talk about what's going on in the village of Oxford, the township of Oxford, and Addison with your government.
These are the councils and board of trustees and the commissions that they appoint, and you elected them, or their appointed representatives, and every decision that they make affects you.
Yeah, they do make regulations and ordinances and all kinds of things, right?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, let's first talk about the Oxford.
Don't spoil a really good story.
Okay, well, we'll pick up on it later maybe,
Right.
okay? Let's talk about Oxford Village Planning Commission.
Okay.
And the chairperson, you know who that is, right?
Sue Basardi, I hear.
Yes, and she does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that, she, rather than push the meeting along, she kind of leads all the little sheep in the right direction and does a great job.
And that keeps a meeting from going too long.
Yes. And they get all their business done quite rapidly now. They do have a township member on too, and that's Jack Curtis.
Okay.
And he's brought quite a bit, to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good, the input that he's provided in terms of state regulations and codes and those kind of things. So he's a pretty knowledgeable guy to have on
And
that
he can
planning
keep
commission.
the township apprised of what's going on in the
Right.
village.
Did you know, though, that they're going to lose some of their commissioners on the planning
No.
commission?
What's
They are.
happened? What happened?
Tom Schultz is going to resign.
Tom,
And he's been on it for quite a while.
did he say why?
I think it's personal reasons why he's
Okay.
resigning.
All right.
So, no, I don't know why. Nor does anybody else, I think. But
Okay.
maybe they will at some point. But
Okay. But is he the only one?
let me see, only one. No, actually, down the line, I'm thinking, there's going to be one more person, but he's going to be going to the council because he's going to be running for office.
Okay. So they got to hang that, they can take that no vacancy sign off the building now.
Well, there's others that are going to be off the planning commission. I don't believe that Maureen Helmuth is running
Okay.
for office for the council, and if she's not, she's appointed to the planning commission through the council. I do know that Sue Basardi is running for council position
Mhm.
in the next election. Let me see, is there any others that's going off?
There's a guy Nichols, is that what his name is?
Yeah, but not on the planning commission, on
No,
the
but he-
council.
Okay, but you're running?
No,
If drafted, you won't run?
no. Okay.
Well, that's a pretty negative attitude.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a decision between my wife, myself, and God. So, and the other two are pretty powerful. So
Right. Well, only one really counts.
you're not going to have me pick, are you?
Can you say yes, dear?
Okay. Let's change the subject a little bit. Let's go back to the planning commission. Let's talk about the code report, officer's report.
Okay.
One of the things that came up was the merge operation. It's a new business, and there were some complaints from various residents that trash wasn't maintained in a proper manner. And
And they moved into what used to be called the Cam Co-op over on, what street was that?
you got me there. I can't remember.
Was it
It's
Pleasant?
right there.
Was that
Can you see
Pleasant
it?
Street?
Huh?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is
Well,
Pleasant.
it's right at
Yeah.
an intersection.
Yeah, it's right there where all the people
Dayton
meet.
and something else, right?
Right. All the cars meet.
Yep.
And that was another subject down the line is stop signs.
Oh,
All these vehicles meet there, they got to have stop signs.
come
of
to think
course.
of it, the Pollyant Trail crosses there too.
That's another stop sign.
Oh.
But the people off the Pollyant Trail, they say don't stop for the stop signs.
That's where the traffic
Turn
jam
right
occurs.
through.
There's no go sign.
Right. But if I were running on the Pollyant Trail and there's a stop sign, I'd probably stop. Not a good idea, right? Okay. So anyway, they said also a concern they had was where patrons were parking, for this business. And
I thought that issue was resolved.
well, Joe Young said that the parking lot will go in now that the frost is gone, and so that shouldn't be an issue down the line. Should be a nice parking lot. And then they said, well, what about the north side of the building? It needs to be painted. And he said, yeah, they're going to paint it also. So that'll be done as well. So there's a lot of things that are going to be completed. And they said, well, what about the swings? Oh, there's swings? Yeah. There's
Swings?
Yeah, there's swings there that you can sit on the deck, I guess. or
Oh, swing chairs.
Swing chairs.
As opposed to.
Except they're dangerous because when people are walking by, they get swung into.
Yeah.
So, but they're going to fix that. Joe Young said that their plan is to put a tether on those chairs, and so they can only swing so far. And that's a good idea, probably. I think they do that with other restaurants and that kind of
In
thing.
cars, that'd be called a governor.
That would be, well, that would be in the state of Michigan too, but there is a governor. Does he do the same thing? He kind of does, doesn't he?
In his spare time.
Okay, but that's other politics. Street parking, they're concerned about street parking, and they said that shouldn't be an issue once the parking lot gets in. The good news is the grand opening for Merge is going to be May 31st,
All
grand
right.
opening. Now,
But
folks,
they've been actually in business for,
for a long time.
no, I mean at that location.
Oh, this location, well, to get the
Couple of
rough
months.
edges out of the way.
A couple of months,
know.
yeah.
Since winter. I remember having a cup of coffee there, and it's pretty cold outside. But anyway, so just so you know, everything that we say on this program is the honest to goodness truth. And Merge is
As
giving
far
away
as we know it.
$1,000 bills for every first 500 customers. Did we say that?
Oh no.
Okay, real good.
I think
Anyway,
that was our lawyer calling.
their grand opening is going to be May 31st, so don't forget that one. They talked about the public hearing also. They had one for Ox Bar and Grill. And what they want to do is put seating out front of their building. As you recall, one side of the building is next to the park. And originally there was some movement on the part of the management to want to provide seating on that side, and that was not approved, by
Well,
the
that's
by
a
the
discussion
council
that's
and
been going on for 2 or 3 years.
yeah, but they can have seating, in the front of the building. But they have to have an access to the seating area, which has to be quartered off. And what they're looking for is 54 seating spots. And
54?
54. And Robert Jordan, who is the manager, was there, and he spoke before the Planning Commission as to what he would like to do. The problem they have is that you got to have 5 feet between where the seating railing is to for walking space for people for the sidewalk. And unfortunately, there's like 4 feet 6 inches or something along that line because there's a tree there. And it's not very easy to move a tree.
Do I hear the word variance coming up here?
Right. Well, no, you're not going to hear that. You're not going to hear a variance in this particular case, but you will hear about how it was remedied by the Planning Commission and actually through the input of Robert Jordan, the manager, who made some suggestions as to what he would do,
Move the building?
to make this happen.
No.
Well, I don't think that was one of them.
Okay.
But I'll tell you more when we come back right after this. Yeah, you can't move the building. Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're talking about what?
The Planning Commission and the seating arrangements at the Ox Bar and Grill.
Good job. He's paying attention today. Yeah.
I take notes.
And anyway, so they have a problem. They need, according to the ordinance, 5 feet walking space for people. Otherwise, they have to walk on the street. There goes another one. They gotta keep on the sidewalk, So anyway, they talked about this thing for a good half hour, 45 minutes, and how they could take a tree out and do something else there.
Is it
and
their tree or is it the
No,
town?
it's
or is
the
the
village's tree.
Ah.
And Joe Young said, "Oh, no, I want to take the tree out." And so he said, "Well, really, excuse me, this is what we suggested for the 54 people. We
54 people is
yeah,
a lot of
54.
people outside.
Yeah, you use yeah, but little tiny people, not big people.
Okay.
And
Do they have one of those things they use at amusement parks? If you're taller than this, you can't go.
they could probably do that. I don't know, but you know, inside the area where where they're going to have seating in the eating area, they need also 3 feet of room for wheelchair accessibility.
Sounds like there's going to be a lot of shuffling going on.
Yeah, and they need a door that will enter into that eating area from the building. And I believe there is one right now that's used on that side of the building, but it's right off the kitchen. And they thought, well, that might be a possibility. They could do that. But anyway, when it came right down to it, they're figuring out how to move this tree and how many inches they have and what they could do and would they have a variance. And I believe one of the commissioners, and I can't recall which one, spoke up and they said, it's required, you know, ordinance. We set that ordinance for the safety of the public. And I don't intend to change that, so you need to find another resolution.
I was just thinking, I heard a no there.
Yeah. So no, actually, Robert Jordan, then the manager, spoke up and he says, well, look, he said, this was a criteria that we had established. We can pull that fence back, you know, another 6 inches or whatever you require us to do, and we can make it work. You know, we can maybe 1 or 2 less tables, you know.
So
And we said,
something
hey,
less.
that's a good idea.
But still 54 people? They're just more crowded?
Well, no, I think they probably cut back on maybe 52 and a half people or
Well,
something.
okay.
I don't know.
All right.
But anyway, they did come up with a solution to it, and it looks like it's a good one. They said, hey, that's a good idea. They all agreed. So
everything's
I think
up
it's
for
gonna
the
be all
summer,
set.
eh?
Going to be up for it, I think. Let me see now. What else did they talk about? I think that's pretty much it, you know, for the Oxford Village Planning Commission.
Okay, moving along.
Moving along. Let's talk about the Oxford Area School Board.
Ah,
Pretty interesting meeting.
Yep.
Yep, it always is. This one, of course, involved the middle school, and the chairperson
And
is
the middle
Colleen.
school, of course, used to be the old high school.
Right, you would know that. I'm way too young.
Actually, when I came to Michigan, I went to the Victorian school that used to sit on M24. Real piece of work.
Stagecoach used to pull right up there? Or
Yeah,
how did
I
you-
know.
Okay.
It had a big tube for a fire escape. That was the fun part.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah. Anyway, that was the way you got into the building too, wasn't it?
No.
Okay. It just sucked you right in. You couldn't get away. Yeah, those were the good old days, huh, Putty?
I feel so old.
Yeah, right. Middle school, let me see. Oh, did you know that they have a duct tape club? I bet you didn't know that.
No, but I feel that you're going to unravel it for me.
I'm going to do that. Mrs. Griffiths, who was a school aide, teamed up with a little girl called Michaela Stickney. Yeah, Michaela Stickney. And she's the president of this club. And she thought it'd be a great idea to see what they could do creatively, you know, with duct tape. And at the school board meeting, they had some of the kids' creation.
So they had a project and they stuck to it.
Right, this is 6th graders. They're all involved, only 6th graders. And they stuck to it, yes, they did. They made a robot. Kind of pretty neat little robot they made. Oh, it stood taller than you. That wouldn't be too hard to do.
No.
But anyhow, yeah, they have a robot that they made.
Powered
and
by duct
games.
tape?
No, not powered by duct tape. But they had games too that they had
Oh.
made. For
Oh.
example, they had toss the duct tape into these holes or something like that. But anyway, it's a cute idea. And what they do is they have like show movies. They have popcorn for the kids, that kind of thing. They have a fundraiser as this goes along. They so far have,
Of course they had a fundraiser. They have to buy more duct tape.
well, actually, a lot of the duct tape is donated to them.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
local businesses.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice out there. Business has been pretty good to Oxford out there. But
I've seen wallets made of duct tape. It's just hard to get the money out.
that may be not so bad an idea. You give your wife one for her birthday. Credit cards, does it do anything for that?
I haven't found out about that one yet.
Let's see, okay. They, right now, they've selected the Canine Rescue League, you know, for their funds for this year.
Okay.
But they said they'll rotate, you know, who they choose to donate, you know, from year to year.
And our own Bill Service knows about the Canine Rescue League.
Yeah, he's pretty active with them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dog's world. Uh, every every year they're going to have a different charity that they're going to take the donations and send the money in that direction. So neat idea. Another thing they have going for grade 8th is an art photo club.
An art what?
Photo club.
Photo.
You'd
okay.
like this. This guy here is really into photography. I mean, he does some great pictures. But Mr. Thaler is the fellow who heads this up. And he's got about 8 to 20 kids in his class or in his program. And they meet after school. It's all 8th graders. And they've had this photography club since 2008. And they accept old cameras, that kind of thing. And they teach kids how photography equipment actually works. In other words, kids tear these cameras apart and put them back together and things like that. So it's
I tried that once. Had several spare parts.
How did the pictures turn out after that?
They didn't.
Okay. So anyway, so they worked that, and a couple of members on the board said, you know, we've seen some of these prints that these kids have put together. They're phenomenal. Do you sell these prints? And Mr. Thaler, he said, you know, we've thought about doing that, but by the time you frame them and, you know, it's quite a tedious process to do that. And the commissioner or the school board member, she said, well, I would take the print and I would take care of, you know, the rest of it. And I don't care how much it costs. And he goes, "Earth." So he said,
Those were brave words.
could be a possibility, you know, down the lane here, where kids could make a little more money, you know, for their club. You know, we'll talk about these clubs because it's really a very interesting part of what goes on in the school process here for
Right.
the kids. So,
And especially when they're self-starters like that.
yes, we'll talk more about self-starters when we come back right after this. Yeah, these are. Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're talking about the Oxford Area School Board and what's going on in there. And kids are very active, you know,
Yeah.
with the school.
You were talking about them starting a photography club and a duck gate club.
Duct tape club. Yeah.
Is there another one?
Have you ever heard of Red Green?
Red Green. Yes, I have. It's a
PBS?
Canadian program that came out of Hamilton, Ontario.
Yeah.
His
And-
specialty was duct tape.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's the same guy who says, I'm a man, but I can change if I have to, I guess. Right?
Right.
Pretty interesting show. Mr. Persky is in charge of a club. It's a bike club. And one thing that the board was discussing is the enthusiasm that a lot of these teachers have. And they get involved with the kids simultaneously get involved with them and what they're doing. In this case, in a bike club, which has been in existence for 4 to 5 years roughly,
So what do they do?
they ride bikes. And it's for sixth
Should have seen that one coming.
sixth up to 8th grade. And he said, yep, you get on your bike and we ride. We
Right.
we go to Polly Ann Trail. But
Do they go on trips and stuff, or
well,
overnighters?
just pretty
or?
much around this area, they ride their
Okay.
bikes and they keep track of the mileage that they do and that kind of thing. And they also have parties afterwards. They have pizza, they have soft drinks, and of course they learn how to repair their bikes too. You know.
I should have learned that one.
Yeah, yeah. So they learn that part of it, and one youngster stood up and said, "You know, I was having a hard time fitting into the school environment here," and he said, "I couldn't really ride my bike on the road because it was disastrous." He said, "If I were to go on the road, I'd get run over." He said, "A lot of traffic where I live," and so he saw this posted, one day, or was talking to one of the other kids that belongs to this club, and he said, well, I think I'd like to get in on that. So he showed up on a Saturday, I guess. And he said, since then, I've met some great kids. He said,
So
I've become
do
friends
they
with.
allow them to store the bikes at the school?
I don't believe they do that. I think they have to take them home.
Okay.
They do have to have a disclaimer on these things, that their parents have to sign from an insurance standpoint.
Like, as in, we're not responsible.
Yeah, yeah, right. Well, that's a pretty common thing. I
Yeah.
mean, they do it for football and
Sure.
all those other things that kids crash into other kids.
Bungee jumping.
Yeah, bungee. Is that a sport? That's suicidal. It's not a sport. Like diving out of an airplane. Who would jump out of a perfectly good airplane, right? But anyway, so they do that. They have a great time, all these kids in these clubs. And the teachers, the way they get involved in these endeavors, and not only after school activities, but during the school too. I mean, they couldn't speak enough accolades,
Well, there's a lot of extracurricular activities, if I can get my tongue straightened out, that are available for kids, but it's great to see that kids themselves can start these activities up themselves.
Absolutely, they could. Duct tape, who'd have ever thought of that? Next thing will be marbles.
Marbles. I
Yeah,
haven't played
right.
marbles in a zillion
Um,
years.
They also, the board, they approved the finance, the budget.
Lost my marbles several years ago, by the way.
Well, I won't readdress that one again. I've been there before. But anyway, and I'm one who should talk, huh? Right. Budgets, actually, the finalization of the budget is due in June, but they did review the budget somewhat. Jim Gibbons talked about a field trip for the band and also the orchestra. And the field trip is going to be going to New York. They've taken certain various bids as far as transportation and accommodations.
Is this a trip, or is it a trip where they'll perform when they
They
get
will
there?
perform when they get there also.
Okay.
Yep. And they're thinking right now they'll be performing at one of the old churches there. It's not going to be St. Patrick's, but it'll be a large church like that, or
Okay.
an older church.
New York must have a lot of those.
Right. And the cost of going per child or per person is $998, which is pretty good.
Not bad. How many days?
I really couldn't tell you. I think they're going to be there for maybe 4 or 5 days. That would be my conjecture, though.
Does the kid with the tuba have to pay for 2 seats?
That's a good question. How about the guy with the drums? I had a kid that used to play drums. I mean, those babies are big. They have little drums too, but big ones. Makeup days for power outages, they don't have an answer yet from the state. They do know
Oxford
that
took a lot of days off.
yes, and they need to work it out with the state and see what the requirements are there. So that hasn't really been determined yet.
They're not looking forward to going halfway through June, are they?
Probably not. Let me see. Policy on Head Start. They did have a speaker for Head Start program. They have 64 students in their Head Start program.
What does that start?
It's like 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, prior to starting kindergarten. And it used to be just half-day sessions, but now it's been put into full-day sessions, so the kids get a lot more out of it too. It's been a very well-proven program. And
I wonder why they didn't call it Kickstart.
that's what they're going to call us, but we don't get going here. What's coming up in the future?
Well, we do have some meetings coming up on 5/13 at 6:30 in the evening, Village of Oxford Council, Mr. Elgin.
Yes, I'll be there.
And also on 5/13 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Parks and Rec will be meeting. And at 5:14, 7:30, Oxford Township Board of Trustees, important meeting. And at 6:30 that same day, Oxford Area School Board will be meeting at the board offices this time. And on 5:15 at 5 p.m., Oxford Township Ordinance Review Subcommittee, but check on that one because sometimes they don't meet. And at 4:30, NODA will be meeting at the Addison Township offices. And on 5/19 at 6 o'clock, Village of Oxford DDA. And at 7:30 that same day, Addison Township Board of Trustees.
Okay, just one quick thing. Addison Township Board has not made a decision if they're going to build a new building or if they're going to refurbish the new one or the old one. I said new one. Refurbish the old one. The bids are now coming in, so you should have an answer to that soon.
Well,
I'm Elgin Nichols,
And I'm Dave Kenny.
and we'll catch you next time on Minutes by Minute.
10, 9,
What do you think?
You're watching OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford, Addison Township, and the village of Leonard.
At Oakland County Parks and Recreation, we value what you value: family relationships, community connections, good health, environmental stewardship, and economic stability. Oakland County residents and businesses have invested in preserving nearly 7,000 acres of parkland. Since 1966, 13 parks and golf courses have been acquired, maintained, and improved. Oakland County parks and facilities are made possible by millage funds supported by Oakland County residents. For a home valued at $200,000, the homeowner pays less than $25 per year to support the Oakland County parks. With every generation, families create lifelong memories at Oakland County's award-winning parks. From exciting summer escapades and stories around the campfire to brisk fall walks on wooded trails and snowy winter outings, the outdoors beckons year-round. It's time to get up, get out, and get going at the Oakland County parks. Active recreation options abound. Cross-country ski or mountain bike on tree-lined trails. Scale the rock climbing wall. Get your kicks with soccer at several sports fields. Row or paddle a boat on 4 picturesque inland lakes. It's an easy journey. Most parks are just a short drive away. A quick tip: all our parks and golf courses end in Oaks. To find your favorite, just go to DestinationOakland.com. Click to pick Oceans of Motion water parks at Red Oaks and Waterford Oaks, the Wint Nature Center at Independence Oaks, Teen Adventures, and even entertainment to go. When outdoor adventures on your list, there's fishing, beaches, boating, playgrounds, and seasonal hunting. The campgrounds at Addison Oaks and Groveland Oaks feel like being up north with plenty of recreation options. Want to get fit? Hit the trails. Oakland County Parks boasts more than 68 miles for strolling, walking, hiking and running, biking, or horseback riding. If the links are your lure, 5 golf courses, including Premier Course Lion Oaks, are conveniently located. Make Glen Oaks or White Lake Oaks your home course. Get an up-north feel at Springfield Oaks, or play a quick 9 at Red Oaks. Our recreation lineup rocks. Learn to swim. Experience an outdoor adventures camp. Take the fast track at BMX, or gain new lifelong skills. Everyone's included. Individuals with disabilities participate in dozens of adaptive opportunities, including a new fully accessible playscape, modified golf carts, and annual events. There's always something special going on at Oakland County Parks, whether it's a classic car show, the Oakland County Fair, a senior golf tournament, or the Ellis Barn Festival. Being green is an everyday practice with nature interpretive programs, wildlife habitat protection, reduction of invasive species, and stormwater management. Your responses to surveys indicate that you want more trails. The Oakland Trails Advisory Council was established to coordinate trail systems and seek grant sources for future trail construction.
You're watching OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford, Addison Township, and the Village of Leonard.